One of our most popular guests is back, Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch.
But first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there is no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Gun owners should have coverage for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. So while you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year with comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Guess what, Gun Owner Radio listeners? You can get 2 free months of coverage when you join. Use promo code American1 at uslawshield.com/America.
All right, so our guest needs no introduction, truly. Every time we have him on, we get a ton of positive feedback. He is a nationally known and respected firearms trainer from Thunder Ranch, which is in Oregon. That is a nationally known, well-known training facility. And so we're very, very happy to welcome Clint Smith back to the show. How are you, Clint?
I'm fine, sir. How are you all today?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted you to come on today. I wanted to talk about shotguns. I think that I'm actually a big fan of the platform when it comes to, home defense, self-defense, or just in general. I think it's extremely underrated. It's definitely underutilized by the public. I know a ton of people with a dozen ARs and a dozen Glocks and 0 shotguns. And I think that's a mistake. So I actually have a very specific shotgun question to ask you that I'm going to ask you a little bit later in the show. But I just wanted to come on and talk about shotguns in general. Give us the lay of the land. What are your thoughts in general on the platform as far as people using it for the everyday citizen using it for self-defense?
Well, I think as far as home defense, I think it's a very powerful gun. It has strength in that it, based on the ammunition, probably won't shoot, shall we say, through as many walls in the case of a miss, like in the sense of like maybe a green tip AR round, you know what I'm saying? And most of the time, most handgun rounds will go through more walls than like a 55 grain ball from a 223, where the shotgun doesn't have that issue. I think the big thing of just lay of the land, you got to know how to load the gun because it doesn't hold very much ammo. So a comparable gun in my mind's eye would be like a 6-shot revolver and a shotgun. Those are 2 guns that if you're going to have them and own them and use them, then you got to know how to load the gun. So probably with a shotgun, if I picked it up at Dark 30, I would fight with what's in the gun or on the gun. So I think that probably rounds in the gun is good. And, a lot of people want to answer that by getting a 10-round magazine extension, and that's awesome. I always tell people, great, load it with 10 rounds of double-aught buck and now hold the gun and ready for 20 minutes while you wait for the police to come. The gun gets really heavy, so I like magazine extensions, but I don't use them the way that most people do. I always let's say it gives me 2 extra rounds. Yeah, I can hold 4 and then 2 more, give me 6. We'll say I would load 4 and leave the 2 empty. That way, if I needed to transition to a different round, in other words, some of the people are going to live in a more built-up area, like a residential area, where someone else might be a little more rural, and I might literally go outside and what appeared to be a buckshot shot now turns into a rifled slug. And I don't necessarily advocate rifle slugs for inside the house. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I lived on a ranch or something, because we always think of California as L.A., and there's a lot more to California than L.A.
You could say that again. Boy, that's a mouthful. You're absolutely right about that. So, shotguns are kind of – do you think it's accurate to say that they're easy to use and hard to be good at?
No, I think the biggest thing, if someone asks me, I think it's the same thing that killed shotguns in the law enforcement community. If I was going to be king for a day, and I'm not, thank goodness, okay, I would cut 1 inch off of every stock in America that was a shotgun because most of the shotguns, the stocks are too long.
Yeah. And
so people are stretched out over the gun, and then when they're stretched, then the recoil is abusive. So a couple of things would be helpful. One, I might consider having a little bit shorter stock gun. I wouldn't have a pistol grip. I think they're goofy, but I won't go there. The other thing I would do is we do have a remarkable redeeming value today that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago, and that's tactical ammunition. So it's still powerful, but it's not like shooting a 3-inch Magnum where it literally knocks your fillings out of your teeth. So the tactical loads are going to be a lot more, shall we say, user-friendly. And bluntly, if the guy is 5 yards down the hall and I shoot him with a skeet load, he's going to know he's been shot. I'm sorry, I got it. I'd rather not shoot someone. And you know me, we've talked before. When I teach, I don't teach people about shooting people. That's not our job. But I also don't want my family to be, subjected to the whims of other people without their permission. So my preference would be a stock that fit, and then I would go with tactical ammunition.
Well, and I'm a really basic guy. I'm not smart enough to use a lot of accessories, and I'm a really, really basic guy. So my Mossberg 500 is in a fairly basic setup. It's all fairly stock. However, one of the best things I did was I got rid of the stock and got the Magpul has a stock that you can shorten. It's got the little pieces in there. You can make it longer or shorter. And I made my shotgun stock really, really short. And you're absolutely right. Totally changed everything in a good way.
Right. It's positive. And, for you and I, if you just ask me, okay, Clint, give me the idea. I go, okay, great. The Magpul answers the idea of the stock. I personally would, if someone asked me, like I always do, I would have a white light on the gun. Yeah. And it isn't so much that I'm going to go hunting, shall we say, and you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to shoot the wrong thing. And there's been numerous cases all over the United States, but especially in California, people shooting. Like I heard a noise in the night. Well, the reason for a flashlight on a shotgun is like a reason for a light on a pistol or rifle. I use the light to find the light switch on the wall, which I'm going to turn on. And people go up, you turn the light on, they can see you, and I can see them back. And that way I'm not shooting my 21-year-old daughter who forgot her key and was sneaking in the back window, or my 3-year-old grandson who managed to figure out right tonight how to climb out of the crib.
No, but when you compare the platforms, pistol, rifle, shotgun, I guess are the three most general. When you compare the platforms, would you discourage or encourage people towards shotguns as far as ease of use?
I have a really simple sort of thing in my head. Handguns put holes in people. Rifles put holes through people. And a shotgun, right range, right load, will take a chunk of meat off and fling it on the wall. And that's always a good thing in a fight. It wasn't very pleasant, but it's truthful. That said, the shotgun, you got to know how to load the gun. That's the single biggest thing. Like if I have like shotgun schools, which I do, and it's not a sales pitch, it's just true. If I have shotgun schools, I really pound people for 3 days on loading the gun, because it won't take very long. People go like, well, see, I'm never worried about, like, I don't own a stopwatch. Like literally a school, I don't own a stopwatch. I'm never worried about people shooting fast. If people get scared, they'll shoot fast. What I need for them to do is shoot good. And what people don't understand is a shotgun inside most people's homes is actually a rifle because the pattern hasn't opened up enough. So if I gave them a visual, you remember like old ice cream cones that look like dunce hats. So at the end of the muzzle, the pattern's going to be an inch.
Yeah.
A yard from the target is going to be 2, okay, then 3, then 4. And at 10 yards, which is 30 foot, that's a long ways down the hallway, they're going to have a lot of nominal 10-inch patterns. But people have this idea, they, watch way too many John Wayne movies, okay, about like, I pulled the trigger and it put a pellet in every square foot of the wall.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it doesn't happen that way, okay? I mean, I got it. The people go, well, if I got a short barrel, it will. No, it won't. All the choking is in the last 2 inches of the gun. And so if I have a 30-inch full gun and I slam it in the car door and bend it, now I cut it off to 28, which of course is legal, okay? That still is going to make the gun nothing but a straight pipe. Now, will it have a little bit more velocity because it has a 28-inch barrel and a 28-inch barrel compared to 18? Yes, but the pattern is not going to be that much better, okay, unless you do some magic stuff with screw-in chokes and all that kind of stuff. And while we're there, between you and I don't advocate screw-in chokes for fighting shotguns. And a lot of people, oh, no, that's wrong. Okay, well, That's why it's called America. I still get to choose so far, okay, at least this week. So the deal with it is I don't like stuff that has the ability to go down range. And if I had $5 for every screw and choke I've seen go down range in the last 40 years, I'd have a lot of money.
I think you're right. My defensive shotgun, none of my defensive shotguns have a screw in choke, and I can tell you at least one of my barrels for the shotgun I use when I go do sporting clays, every single stage I'm checking to make sure that it's still screwed in. So
right.
I
agree, and I don't want to have to check that in a fight. I already have enough problems. So
I don't want to be checking that in a fight either.
Yeah, and it's nothing ugly, and people go, well, I have a really good screw and choke, and good. Okay, great, no problem. That's the great thing still about all of this, all right, so far. It's free will, free choice. You get to pick, you want a screw and choke, wear a screw and choke. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's your call. You want to vote for one governor candidate and not the other, that it's still, we need to be careful. Like I was listening, and you're exactly right. People can't sit on their hands and go let someone else do it. The world is kind of covered, and there's even some new fresh ones with the graves of people from this country who died so we can vote. So they need to vote and not rely on someone else to do it. But I'm not getting off subject. I'm just telling you, it's sort of the same thing in the joke.
Yeah, well, I agree. Now, I want to ask you. I'm not sure we have enough time.
We're
going to go to the next segment. But here's what I want to ask you about. Well, we're in the commercial here. I want to ask you about the difference between a semi-automatic shotgun and a pump-action shotgun, and talk about maybe kind of the pros and cons of both and what you think of those. And I also want to talk to you about ammunition. I've been asking this question of a lot of guys that have a lot of experience teaching shotgun classes. You've already kind of set it up for me with some of the discussion on buckshot and everything, but I want to talk about those two things specifically. And again, we're doing this segment. I'm really passionate about shotguns for defensive use, so I'm really encouraging people out there to get a shotgun and get training. And that's the whole point of this. But I want to get as much good information out there as we can. So.
All right, Clint. Hopefully you wrote that down, because he's gonna forget what he wanted to ask you. Our freedom of speech is just as important as our freedom of self-defense.
Amen.
And we are thrilled to support an American company like MyPillow. Go to mypillow.com and use the code FREEMARKET3 and get up to 66% off America's best pillows. You can get a great night's sleep and enjoy the satisfaction of supporting companies fighting against cancel culture. That's mypillow.com, and use the code FREEMARKET3 for up to a 66% discount. That's pretty good. All right, we're back with Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch. How you doing, buddy?
We're talking shotguns. We have a couple guys in the studio here, Brett and Mike, and they're former special op guys from the Coast Guard. Right? I got that right?
Yep.
And everybody I talk to about shotguns, when you start talking about shotguns, no one has a negative opinion about shotguns. If they know what they're talking about, they're like, oh, yeah, of course. People have varying opinions on pistols and rifles and ARs and no, you shouldn't, whatever. Shotguns are, but yeah, yep. If everyone I know who knows what they're talking about, when you bring up shotguns, they go, yes, absolutely. It's a great platform. People should know it better. Why do you think it's not more popular? Why aren't more people buying, and training with shotguns, Clint?
Well, I think the big thing is it goes back to what we talked about just briefly ago. When in my time as a cop, I can remember that when people had to qualify with handguns, it was no big deal, and some with rifles. But when you went to shotgun, you'd have grown men almost start to cry. And I think the deal with it was the ammunition. Okay, like I said, in my day, a cop, from in the 70s, okay, was like 3-inch magnums that was the bread and butter. But the problem with it is it just beats the crap out of people. And so, like, I don't care who you are. Okay, I mean, I know a couple maniacs. You will go out and shoot, a truckload of 3-inch mags, but I'm not one of those guys. I mean, I don't mind shooting the thing, and and people go like, well, 3-inch mag hits harder. Well, how hard do you want to hit them? I mean, if you hit them with number 4 buck, I'm putting 27 pellets on the guy, and based on distance to target, it's going to be reasonably effective. I think the thing is the stocks are too long, the ammo is the issue, and then no one really took the time to train people how to use the gun effectively, like in the sense of loading it. So the deal with it is it was much easier. And, I go through this because, without sounding like a sales pitch, I've written some books on rifles, and I mentioned in there that when we went to rifles, everyone goes, yeah, we need to have this. And I go, well, if your rifle program is not going to be any better than your shotgun program as far as the amount of ammunition and training, then there's no sense in changing. Okay, so I can, when I do a shotgun class, people love it, man. They're just like, but you got it. There's shortcomings. The most consistent thing about a shotgun is that it's inconsistent. I can take 5 consecutive serial numbers and I can shoot the same ammunition through them, and every one of them will pattern differently. That doesn't bother me. One of the greatest things that shotguns ever did was they had the 5-round box of ammo. So I would go to a gun store and I would buy one of every 5 boxes of ammo they had. And then I would shoot it on paper, and I would find out, because one gun will like Remington slugs and Winchester buck, and one gun will like just the opposite. And it doesn't matter for you and I, because we're in the private sector. Where it gets the police in trouble is they buy ammunition in bulk, so they have to buy ammunition that doesn't always perform. And then they go, well, I shot at 50 yards and I didn't hit the guy with 9 pellets. Well, at 50 yards, you're trying to build a custom cabinet with a chainsaw. That's not actually where the gun really works. The optimum range for the gun is 10 yards to 30 yards. And after that, if it's past 30, then you got to expect holes in the pattern as far as doing it. So then, based on if I was like a Border Patrol guy and down by the Mexican border, and I had a shotgun, then I might want rifled sights on it, and then I'd want to have a rifle slug capability. So if the guy was 200 yards away, I don't have to lay in a ditch and let him shoot at me. I can put a rifle slug in and shoot back.
So Clint, as you're making all these points, both our guys here, Brett and Mike, are both nodding in agreement.
Well, they look like the bobbleheads.
Yeah,
in the back
as soon
of a
as you, they're
55
both like,
Buick.
yep. Which and these guys are both know what they're talking. I don't know what they're talking. I got this job on the radio here because of my looks. These guys
and your voice
are qualified to agree with you. Okay, so here's my question. I've been asking a bunch of people.
You remembered.
Yeah. So the default, everybody use double-aught buck. Typically, there's 9 pellets. It's as standard as standard gets as far as a defensive round for shotgun. Yep, double-aught buck. The trend, though, and as we all know, you have to aim a shotgun, and that's a common myth that, you just point it in the general direction. That's not true. We all know that. In fact, the trend has been like these flight control rounds that have really, really, really tight patterns. So that those.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So those 9 pellets it's a really, really, really tight pattern. I mean, it really, on my shotgun, out till about 10 yards. It's one hole. It's one big hole. Those 9 pellets pretty much create one big hole. You get past.
So you got the value of the ammo. So that's when I mentioned tactical ammo, and the bobbleheads are now up and down. 2 things save the ammo. One, are flight control wads, and the other is by plating the pellets. When we used to use only lead when they went down the barrel, or slid or skid or whatever word you want, we would get a pellet, that had a flat side on it, and then we would have 8 pellets on the target and one that went to Wyoming. And people go, well, what the hell is that? And I go the deal with it is by nickel plating them or copper plating them and put them in flight control, that has been the salvation of the shotgun. But if I can get people to carry ammo on the gun and make the stock fit them, now we got the true winner.
So, and here's my question. Like I said, when I pattern my shotgun out to 10 yards, it's one hole. Out to 15 yards, you might start seeing a little bit of a spread with my shotgun. But that seems to be pretty standard. I don't think that's too far off from most shotguns that are set up for self-defense, I don't think. Here's my question. If we're doing this, if we're getting the double-aught buck, which I think became the self-defense ammo because it was the best thing at the time, and now they're continuing to improve it, which makes a lot of sense. But if we're doing all that with double-aught buck to make these nice tight patterns, why aren't we switching to slug for self-defense?
Well, slug the rifle, and it's going to carry a long ways. You know from my past that I worked at Gunsight, and when I was with Mr. Cooper, he owned a shotgun, but he stuffed it full of slugs because his basis for his marksmanship was based on shooting rifles, not necessarily. In other words, he's not like you. He's not like a sporting clays guy. I don't even know if they had sporting clays then. But the point of it is he turned a shotgun into a rifle. And yet I dealt with another guy who was an Olympic gold medalist, okay, and he wanted everything to be BBs and smaller pellets. And my deal was I visualized a shotgun in my head. If you can imagine a 90 or 180-degree arc. When I teach what we call a spectrum of the shotgun. One of the greatest books that people can buy is the Shooter's Bible. I don't sell them, so I can't get in trouble. But the point of it is, go in the back and look at all the different ammunition types that are available. I mean, there's probably 100 variations of birdshot. So this is where you start to learn the tool. It's not like I'm going to take an Indy 500 car out and drive it the first day in the race. In other words, I got some practice with it. So the ammunition, I mean, it was a series of errors before. You know, the stock was, okay, so think of it this way. Before, when we talk about the kind of gun, if you ask me straight up, if someone goes, I'm going to have one shotgun, what should I have? I go, a pump gun. And they go, yeah, but an autoloader shoots faster. I'm not worried about it shooting fast. I'm worried about it chambering all the rounds that I'm going to put in it. And if I would have said that 100 years ago, the bobbleheads would have definitely been nodding because paper used to swell. Now we have all plastic. And in World War I, all the cases for shotguns were made out of brass, so they couldn't swell. Okay, so I think a pump gun is more liable to accept more, shall we say, varieties of ammunition, including even some that are damaged. And I am pretty sure if I can get it in the mag tube, I can get it in the chamber. If I can get it in the chamber, I can get the gun to go off. I also, a lot of times, if you get new semi-automatics, okay, you try to put like skeet loads in them, and they're not powerful enough. They're gas operated or inertia operated. And so for me, it kind of goes, okay, great. What kind of shotguns do you have, Clint? I have about 7 pump guns and 1 semi-automatic, and the semi-automatic is in the back shelf. Okay, and everything else is a pump gun. But I admit I grew up with pump guns, so I have no anxiety about that.
I've seen that in classes and on the range that the semi-autos, like you said, they're basically turning a shotgun into a rifle, and the semi-autos are a little finicky when it comes to ammo sometimes, and that doesn't make me feel comfortable. But let me go back to the ammo question though. Is there something in the ballistics? Is there something in the do the 9 pellets, if you have 9 pellets that make a hole that would be about the same sized hole as a slug, is there something about the ballistics of having 9 little pellets that is more lethal? Well,
I don't know. Here's the thing. You've been in the business a while, so like you hear people go like, hey, don't shoot them in the same hole because if you shoot 4 inches apart, you'll have 2 wound channels. Well, I can't argue that. But at the same time, if you and I were to go to Alaska and we got involved in a plane crash and we were lucky enough to live and all I had was 9 pellets, or even more importantly, all I had was skeet loads, I would go at the base where the wad ends inside the case and I would scribe it with a knife. And then when I shoot that bitch, I'm telling you what, that plastic end will come off and make it a rifled slug. So as far as it being lethal, it might be knowledge and the ability to manipulate your ammunition based on the environment that you're in. If I had no slugs and wanted a slug, that's exactly what I would do. Is it the smartest thing? No, because once in a while you can get a piece of plastic caught in there or something. But compared to being eaten by, a 900-pound bear, I'm cutting the son of a bitch and shooting them. Okay, excuse me. Okay, sorry.
It's a family show, Clint. Come on.
So Clint, you mentioned this about 2 or 3 times within your interview. And I just, for the people out there that are listening, because we have a lot of new listeners, what did you mean by the biggest problem you've seen was loading the shotgun? What did you mean by that?
It doesn't hold very much ammo. If you take a standard 870 out of the box, it'll hold 1 in the chamber and 4 in the tube. So if, like, you have a Mossberg 500, okay, it might have an extension on it, so it may hold 6. So the idea is that people go like, well, the shell's great big, it won't be hard to load. It is hard to load when your heart rate's 250, you have a wet spot in your shorts, and a guy's coming down the hallway with a big knife. So personally, I would have the mag tube like I told you, but not necessarily for loading it unless we were in the zombie apocalypse, okay? That said, I personally would put 4 rounds in the gun, and then I would have a side saddle mounted on the side that held 4 or 6 rounds additionally. And then if I needed to change the flavors, because I lived in Pompano, Montana, and I needed to have the back 2B rifle slugs, then that's what I would do. But they don't hold much ammo. And when what they forget is, I'll take them in a tactical house, okay, and they'll go bang, 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 bang. And I go, how many rounds you fire? And they go 2. And I go, well, there's 5 pieces of 9mm brass on the floor, so how do we account for that? I'm sorry, but everyone talks about being really cool, but if you think you're going to die,
it's a whole other story. Real quick, last question. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Clint, if I said, hey, I'm going to change all my double-aught buck defensive ammo to like a low recoil slug, would you thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs down. I wouldn't want you shooting them inside your house.
Okay.
That's all we need to hear. Hey, how do people follow you and find out what the heck you're doing?
They can just go online and put Thunder Ranch, Oregon, and if I could address one thing very quickly, okay, there's been some discussions back and forth about the ranch, the physical ranch / Thunder Ranch, the property, the 900 acres is for sale. I'm 72. I'm not 22. I'm also not 82. So I don't plan on retiring. I plan to teach. And, for anyone who might be listening who hasn't got to work, whatever classes we have scheduled, we're finishing. And we also already have stuff set up for next year. So I think I'm going to teach a class a week after I die just because I'm ornery.
I want to take that class.
Man after my own heart. Thanks, buddy. Stay out of trouble, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.